how on earth did someone discover that?
Completely agree. And I think for me, I actually read about this thing that we're talking about, this phenomenon, on Twitter a couple of years ago, and thought, oh, it's one of those substitutes that kind of is okay, and you can kind of, potentially it will be okay to make. And then I actually made it in my kitchen and was rather gobsmacked at the results. So what we're talking about... What
are we talking about? Let's go.
So we're talking about something called Aquafaba.
Aquafaba.
Aquafaba, which there's two things I really like about it. One is that it's a bit weird. And it's a bit unusual. We like weird. It's interesting.
Yep.
For me, it was a learning experience, which I think as a cook, I'm always learning, and that's what I love about my job and what I do. And the second thing is it's something that we normally, this is normally a waste product. So it's something that we normally pour down the drain.
Yep.
So what we're talking about is chickpea water, Aquafaba. So this, if we take a look here, this is a can of chickpeas, which I've just popped into this bowl. And
this is regular chickpeas. This is
chickpeas
not chefy chickpeas. This is not you found some magic beans. No, this is all.
These are chickpeas off the shelf. And what is really interesting about them is they have the similar properties as egg whites.
And this is the water that
this
basically.
The liquid. It's quite a viscous, as you can see here. This is some of it that I've strained off. So it's got a bit of body to it, a little bit of colour, but that all disappears when you whip it. So I've basically just strained it off into the bowl, so that's 50 mils of it. And what's interesting is that I think it's the protein content in it that is the same, so it mirrors what you can do with egg whites. So the possibilities are quite vast, and if you have allergy, so an egg allergy, this is amazing because it's something you can have meringue, you can have aioli, mayonnaise, you can use it as you do egg whites, replace them. So I've used it quite a bit in the book, in baking, also making mayonnaise as aioli, as I mentioned before. So it's quite an interesting phenomenon.
But it's also one of those things where actually, if you need an egg white, you need to crack open an egg, you then need to work out what to do with the yolk. And actually, so there's multiple savings here on all sides. But what you're really saying is that, so to be absolutely clear, you can use the liquid in chickpeas and basically
so in a tin of cooked chickpeas, the liquid from that is what we're about to make our coconut mousse with.
Great. So here we go.
We're going to start it off, and we're not going to show you the whole process because it's a little bit rowdy with the mixer. So we're going to start. I'm going to start it off just so you can actually see what happens rather quickly. And then I've got a bowl that we did earlier, which, as Ollie can attest to, it is just.
There are no tricks.
There's no tricks. There's no tricks. There's no smoking water. So I'm just going to start this off really. It's going to get a bit noisy, so let's just bear with us for a minute. See, already you can start to see
little bubbles forming,
and they're going to get a little bit firmer and actually form a meringue. So we're going to look at one we prepared earlier.
Here's one we prepared earlier. So when we did this earlier, it took about a minute.
It takes a little bit longer than egg whites, I think, because for the protein to develop. So this is one
that
I did earlier.
That's true. If you do it with egg whites, it takes.
It's quicker with egg whites, but actually with this, it does take a little bit longer. But as you can see it here, so that's it. This has been sitting for about 20 minutes, and as you can see, we can even do the bowl over your head trick.
With my hair, really? Could be a risk.
So we're going to give it a little quick. So this is literally.
It's amazing.
What we're talking about. I know, it is amazing. I still get fascinated by it as well.
And so you mentioned the waste thing. You said waste is important. I mean, waste has been a big buzzword out there because we all waste a lot.
We waste a lot.
And this is a really good example. So you just throw down the sink.
Yeah.
When actually it's got used to it.
Exactly. And also, obviously, chickpeas are great to use for other things. You can make hummus. Who doesn't love hummus? And also, for stews. Also, chickpeas are great. And salads, they're a really good kind of go-to that you can have in your pantry, and then if you've used the liquid, to have in the fridge as well. So, yeah, great thing all round.
Other things on food waste. What are your other bugbears on this subject? I mean,
cauliflower leaves. Eat your cauliflower leaves. They're delicious. You don't need to throw them away. You can cook them in a stir fry. You can chop them up to make a salad. You can deep fry them to be crispy leaves. They're delicious. Okay. So there's no need to throw them away. Okay. And I think also it's just about being more conscious. So things like bananas. If you've got some brown bananas, if you've got one brown banana in your bowl and you think actually, you know what, it's gone, I'm just going to throw it away. Just pop it in your freezer, and then when you've got about 3 of them in there, you can make banana cake, banana bread. So there's always a solution, I think.
Definitely.
Exactly. Well, so back to our Aquafaba. I'm going to add, so this is a mousse that we're making. There's no cream, there's no egg in it, so it's literally the Aquafaba, which we've made into the meringue. We're going to stabilise that with a bit of xanthan gum, which is something that is available from pretty much all supermarkets now, I believe. It's used a lot in gluten-free baking because it adds stability, and obviously if you're taking out the gluten of something, you want that stability to be able to, the elasticity. So this is what this does. So this is activated through motion. So again, you've got to whisk it. So we're going to create a bit more noise for a while, just to see what happens when we hit this. So, and it's literally, it's not much at all, and it has a really kind of quite a big impact. Really, you can see that already is just starting to, it's just stiffened it up a little bit more. So we're just going to give it a quick, another whiz.
There's a question about, can you get all these ingredients from supermarkets like Ocado?
You can.
Absolutely you can. I think one of the things that's been really exciting about the food scene in the UK over the last few years is more and more of what, xanthan gum probably 5-6 years ago was a bit more complicated to get. And actually now it's much more readily available in major supermarkets.
Yes.
But also stuff's available online. You can actually just order this stuff very easily, can't you?
You can, but I think also talking about that, obviously we do have the kind of shop local thing, which Ollie and I both frequent at the farmers market.
We're regularly at the farmers market, even on rainy days.
Even on rainy days, because it's a great little thing. And I think also for me, eating seasonal is really important because everything just tastes so much better. It's so much better for you, and as local as you can get it, which obviously for some of us is a little bit more tricky than others. But I think there's always ways to improve upon what we do.
So a question was asked about, is organic better? I mean, there's a whole. I mean, this is a minefield.
It is a minefield,
and it's not. There probably isn't really direct. It's quite a personal opinion.
I think it's a very personal thing. For me personally, I do prefer it because I think also it really helps the soil health, which I think is something that we do need to be more conscious of, because I think our soil is getting a little bit void of nutrients. So I think from that perspective, I think it's great. And at the end of the day, it's about getting what you feel confident and comfortable with as well. So if it's something, and sometimes buying organic means buying from other parts of the world. So you've got that juxtaposition of actually, do you buy something that's local and not organic, or do you buy something that's organic from Kenya or Mexico? So,
but in some ways, this is partially what this whole series is about, which is about trying to make people a bit more mindful about the ingredients you're putting into the dishes you're cooking, a bit more mindful about where you source them from. Because sadly, it's like sugar, good or bad. Organic, good or bad. It's not. This stuff is not black and white. You've got to be a bit more.
And I think it's personal, as we said, and I think it's up to what you're able to do and what you feel comfortable and confident with. But I think there's a lot more information out there, which I think is always a good thing, so that you can actually go and find it yourself and actually find what you feel works for you.
Which is a good segue to say, we are here to give you more information. So should you want to ask another question, just fire them in. They'll be beamed into my earpiece, and then we can try and answer them. So, and there's also a chance to win that £50 gift voucher from Ocado. So please do fire your questions in. So we're up to our coconut mousse, and here, this is what the coconut element to it. So this is coconut yogurt. So this is yogurt that's been made from coconut milk. Right. It's not coconut flavoured milk yogurt. Yeah. So clear difference is this is a yogurt made from coconut rather than a regular yogurt that's been flavoured with coconut.
Exactly.
And this again is absolutely available in all supermarkets nowadays.
It is now, and it used to be something that I first learned about it probably a few years ago, and it was quite a specialist thing that we had to get from a specialist supplier for the restaurant. But the first time I tasted it, I mean, if you're a fan of coconut, you will absolutely adore this. If you're not, I think still give it a go anyway, because I think it is something, for me, one of the challenges, I guess, with plant-based food is, and especially in puddings, I think it's the creaminess and the mouthfeel, because you want a good creamy mouthfeel when you've got a good pudding in front of you. So for me, that was the issue, is how do you get that without the dairy, without the cream? And this is an amazing alternative. And it's just made, literally, there's no sugar in it either, so it's unsweetened. Right. So it's the natural sweetness in the coconut. Coconut, the probiotic, and then a little bit of, I think, stabiliser just to keep it as one. But it's
great for people who are dairy intolerant. It's great for people who want to reduce the amount of dairy intake. Yeah. It's just a great alternative. But also it brings a great coconut flavour into things. So,
it does.
And that's part of what I think we're talking about with your book, and also with this whole approach, is it's not just about these sorts of dishes are not just designed for people who are vegan. No. Actually, there are no compromises in this dish, really, are there?
Exactly, and I think it's about, we had a discussion earlier about, taking time with vegetables, and I think sometimes we put it to one side and we kind of treat them as a second-class ingredient, as opposed to if we've got, a beautiful rib of beef that you will take hours to prepare on a Sunday, you know, you don't do that with your veg. You actually, if you put some of that time into your veg, then you can get amazing results. Things like caramelizing, browning, you know, we talked before about, you know, boiled cauliflower, you know, as much as I love vegetables, it's just not something that really floats my boat. But
in the
roasted
same way that
cauliflower
boiled chicken.
Yeah, you wouldn't boil a chicken, but you would boil a cauliflower. Yeah, so you're not getting that kind of richness that you can when you caramelize it, when you roast it, when you pickle it, all sorts of things.
And it's, again, it's the same with the fruit we're dealing with today.
Yeah.
Like, often people will eat fruit just raw, which is great and absolutely
which is delicious.
We should definitely be doing.
Yeah.
But it's also about bringing alternative ways of preparing fruit and veg into our diets to actually play with them in different ways.
Yeah, I think it's just about widening your kind of, not your repertoire, because that's not the word, but I think what you do at home and actually just trying a few different things. And that's kind of was part of the reason of the book too, the doing things that, you know, one of the dishes we had on the menu at Tredwells was a roasted Jerusalem artichoke, and people were like, oh my gosh, I'm a convert, I love them now, whereas I just used to put them in the fridge and not really know what to do with them. So there's always wonderful alternatives.
Great, okay.
So back to our mousse.
Back to our mousse.
So we're just literally going to fold these ingredients together. We've got the coconut yogurt in here. Pop that in. And
that's going into the non-egg-based meringue.
It's going into the Aquafaba meringue,
yep.
So we're just going to make sure we get all of that out, like so. And we are literally just folding this together. Because of the xanthan gum, it's going to keep the aeration in it. So as you can see, it's nice and moussey and light. And that's
so often you worry about folding that stuff together, you can really beat the life
out of it. Yeah. Like we make chocolate mousse, but this allows it to hold up. As you can see, it's kind of quite, it's got its body to it. So we're going to add a little bit of lime zest as well, just to add a bit of extra. With
your favourite microplane? I'm still scared of those things. I do worry about taking my fingers off with them slightly. Yeah, I think if you, again, they're a little bit better than a mandolin. Yeah, definitely. Which, yeah. But they do, as you can see, they get a much, much, much finer thing than the sort of traditional stand-up kind of old-fashioned. Exactly. So we're just going to pop a little bit of lime juice. Ollie, could you just slice that in half for me? And we're going to add a little bit more acidity to it. Okay. Thank you so much. Just pop that in there. So again, we've got, this whole dish is about different flavours. We've got, I guess, the umami of the coconut sugar, which is roasted and caramelised on the pineapple. We've got the acidity of the lime, we've got the richness of the coconut, and then we've got a little bit of texture with some passion fruit that we're going to add as well, to the seeds from the passion fruit. And we've got a little kick of freshness with some fresh mint as well. Very good. So this is really a dish to sort of bring in, to sort of herald in the summer and make us feel like, isn't it? Yeah, I agree. And again, it's something that's, quite easy to do during the week. The pineapple will take about 20 minutes, 25 minutes. So we do have one that we prepared earlier. We did prepare one a little bit earlier. Well, so if you could pass me the board back, and I'll grab this pineapple. So here is our pineapple that we, thank you, Ollie. There we go. Prepared earlier. As we can see, it's got a lovely kind of colour on it. All the caramel's gone richly inside, so the whole thing's going to be nice and unctuous and delicious. So could you prepare this in advance if you wanted to? Yeah, or, I mean, absolutely. It's been sitting there for about, half an hour or so, but actually you don't want it hot. It's about the caramelised flavouring. I mean, it's great hot as well, but if you're not a fan of hot pineapple, the pizza argument, cold is just as delicious. We're not going to go on to the pizza. We're not going to go into the pizza argument. We won't. But if you wanted it, you can prepare it in advance. You can prepare it the day before, the night before. Also, I think it'd be really good on the barbecue too. So if you've got your barbecue lit and you want to put this on, just finish it off on there. Because if you put it on there the whole time, the sugar's going to kind of spark and be a bit smoky, but just a little finish could be quite delicious. Fruit on barbecues is one of those things that people don't do enough, and it is bananas. So good. Yeah. Have the bananas in the skin on the barbecue. It's amazing. Yeah. It is great. Super delicious. Peaches as well. Another good one. So we're going to kind of assemble everything together. So here is our plate. So let's just pop this onto the board. And what other fruits could you do this with? So, I mean, actually, the approach you've taken of caramelising fruit, I mean, could this work with what we were discussing a second ago? So, peaches, nectarines. Yeah, definitely. I mean, the whole dish would work well with peaches and nectarines as well. Apricots, I really love roasted apricots as well. So, again, and some of them have higher sugar contents than others, so you might not need as much of the syrup on them as well. So, there's always, all sorts. So There's a really good question here, which I know when you were doing a show the other day, someone was surprised that when they tried a chocolate mousse of yours, they couldn't taste the chickpeas. So someone, Lisa Sheldon, has asked, can you taste, is this basically going to taste like chickpeas?
Ollie.
Yeah. So look, I'll tell you if I can taste any chickpeas. No.
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 And when you make the meringues, that's the weird thing, they don't taste like chickpeas. So no, the flavour kind of goes, and obviously what you put with it takes it away. But even on its own, it's not a strong chickpea or savoury or briny kind of flavour.
No, there is no...
No, there's no...
I mean, I'm sure chemically you could probably find the trace of chickpea in it.
Well, chemically, but like flavour-wise...
But flavour-wise, there's no way you can taste it. There's
any... No, not at all. And yeah, the chocolate mousse is another good one. So again, it's made with, from the book, made with the Aquafaba, stabilised with the xanthan, and then the chocolate's folded through it. So a great alternative as well. Yeah. Yeah. So,
right. Okay.
Without further ado, so we're going to just carve this.
And you've left the inside of the core. The core in there. Is that? Would you expect people to eat that, or is that?
I would. I mean, I think because it's been in the oven too, it's going to be slightly softer than you would normally have it.
Playing to your waste story, we're not wasting it.
We're not. No, and there's a lot you can actually do with them as well. So, again, it's one of those.
Hang on. So, top tips on what to do with the centre of a pineapple.
So, if you can pop it into your alcohol.
Yes.
Infused gin.
Nice.
Infused vodka.
Nice.
That's the one we can do. We can also, if you leave it to marinate, so just in a bit of even pineapple juice, it will soften. So it breaks down over time. So there is no need to really get rid of it.
It's just actually when you eat it from a raw pineapple, it's just tougher. Yeah. It's got the same flavour. It's got the same. It's not an avocado.
It's about breaking it down really. So I'm just going to pop this over to you, Ollie,
Let me take that
and then we can actually finish off our dish. So we're going to just pop this coconut mousse, a little bit of that on top, like so.
I mean, the fact is, this looks, it's one of those tricks, isn't it, that, you know, you've got just two simple things actually really there. You know, pineapple that's being cooked. It's not, because often at times people are scared of chefs and they sort of go, oh, but they're like 15 different things. Yeah. But actually, this is fundamentally a cooked pineapple with a very simple mousse on top, isn't it? It is.
I mean, and I think, you know, we're just using great ingredients as well. So you've got the great pineapple, passion fruit, which is, you know, a deliciously sweet, really flavoursome, intense fruit. A little bit of lime zest on top, and finish it off with a bit of fresh mint. So
great.
Let's do it. So again, just pop this on top. And as I said before, I really like the texture of passion fruit seeds. If you don't, you can always pass them through a little sieve, take out the seeds, and so you've just got the flavour of it. But that's it there.
Great.
Pop that back in there.
Brilliant.
And then we're going to add a little bit of lime zest on top as well. This is for colour, but it's also, I love that little kick it gives you, which has a little bit of savouriness in it as well. And super fresh, super fresh. And as we said before, just finish it off with a little bit of fresh mint. So we're just going to pick the tips off the mint. Great to have, you know, mint grows like a weed in the garden as well. So if you've got some pots or, you know, you've got a spare bit of space in your garden, then I would suggest mint. It's so great in things like salads. Also fresh mint tea, which I'm a big fan of as well. So
that looks beautiful.
There we have our pretty simple midweek supper.
Brilliant.
Pudding.
Excellent. Well, Chantelle, thank you very much for coming on and showing us how to cook that amazing dish. If you stay tuned after this, we'll be showing you one more of Chantelle's dishes, which is, I would say, equally amazing, and also shows you how to make something that's not a store, which is often a store cupboard essential, from scratch, which I think actually really, really exciting. So thank you very much for joining. Do please ask any further questions if you've got any. We'll do our best to answer them. And please do look again to join us next time when we do another Live and Cooking with Great British Chefs and Vitality. Thanks very much for joining.
Hi everyone, I'm Chantelle Nicholson, Chef Patron of Tredwells in London. And today I'll be showing you how to make a wonderful brunch recipe, perfect for all of the family. I'll be making ricotta pancakes with a fresh strawberry compote and a homemade chocolate hazelnut spread. Today I'm using agave syrup instead of white refined sugar, as it has multiple health benefits including a lower glycemic index. So we're going to start by making the chocolate hazelnut spread, which consists of 3 main ingredients: toasted hazelnuts, full of healthy fats, cocoa powder, great for antioxidant properties, so using that instead of chocolate as it's got a richer flavour and also less sugar, and a little bit of agave for sweetening. So all the ingredients pop into a blender and blend until almost smooth. So we'll start with the hazelnuts and the cocoa, touch of agave. Agave syrup has 60 calories per tablespoon, but because it's 1.5 times sweeter than sugar or honey, you don't need to use as much. A little bit of water and a pinch of salt. So you'll need to add a little bit more water as you continue to blend whilst it thickens. And here's our homemade chocolate hazelnut spread. Next up, onto the strawberries. So for the fresh strawberry compote, we're relying on 2 ingredients only: strawberries and limes. There's enough natural sugar in the fruit to be able to give it the sweetness we need for the dish. So we're just going to chop the strawberries up into quarters. Grate some zest over them and squeeze some lime juice for them to marinate in. So we're going to gently mix these together and then just allow them to sit to marinate slightly whilst we make the pancakes. So these pancakes are made using ricotta, which makes them rich and creamy whilst keeping the fat content as low as possible. So we're going to separate the eggs and whisk the whites till they're nice and fluffy. So using the hand beater, we're just going to beat the eggs until they get nice and stiff. So we're going to add the ricotta into the yolk, whisk it till it's nice and smooth. Add the flour, baking powder, and a touch of milk. So we're going to fold the egg whites into the egg yolk and ricotta mix. This makes for a really nice, light and fluffy batter. So we've got the pan on a moderately high heat. We're going to add a touch of butter and then spoonfuls of the batter. Pancakes take a couple of minutes to cook each side, and when you start to see the little bubbles forming on the top, it's time to flip them over. And when they're spongy to the touch, they're ready to take out. We've now got everything ready to plate up. And here we have it, ricotta pancakes with a fresh strawberry compote and homemade chocolate hazelnut spread. Thank you so much for watching. You can find loads more delicious and healthy recipes on greatbritishchefs.com and the online Vitality magazine.